Breaking news, my country people. Guys, you would be shocked. IPOB releases lists of top politicians, others allegedly working against the release of Nnamdi Kanu. My country people. Recently, the Ohanaeze Ndigbo had made allegations that there are some Southeast governors and senators who are working against Kanu's release. Ohanaeze Ndigbo youth leader Okechukwu Isuruzoro had made that claim that there are some Southeast governors that are working behind the scene against the release of Nnamdi Kanu, especially as the Anambra governorship elections are fast approaching, because it will take place in 2024. So they are doing everything possible because they feel if Nnamdi Kanu is released before then would affect the elections. So one may wonder, who are those Southeast governors? Who are those senators that are working behind the scene to make sure Kanu is not released? Meanwhile, a lot of Southeasterners have cried out that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released. The same Ohanaeze Ndigbo had called out to the president to make peace with the Southeasterners by giving them a tangible Christmas gift through the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a show of peace during this festive period. And one may wonder, who are those people? Because Ohanaeze Ndigbo youth leader did not disclose the names of those persons that were allegedly said to be working behind the scene. And now we have IPOB. They have released a list of top politicians, those that are working against the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Let's find out more as we hit the news. But if you're joining us for the first time, you're very much welcome. I sincerely appreciate your presence. Kindly subscribe and please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Thank you. The indigenous people of Biafra IPOB has accused some top politicians, some businessmen and traditional rulers from the south of working against the release of its embattled leader Nnamdi Kanu. The proscribed group claimed in a statement on Monday that the list was uncovered by its intelligence team. The IPOB spokesperson, Emma Powerful, who released the list, said the identified persons should be held responsible if Kanu fails to regain his freedom after the anticipated December 15th ruling of the Supreme Court. Those accused of working against the release of the IPOB leader include the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, also a billionaire businessman, Sir Emeka Ofor, from Anambra State, and Governor Francis Nwafuru, also Governor Peter Mba, and Governor Hope Uzodimma of Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo States, respectively. Others listed are the former governor of Imo State, Senator Rocha Sokorocha, Oil Margaret, and Arthur Eze, and a traditional ruler, HRH Cletus. The statement alleged that the idea to keep their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, in detention was brought forward by some people in the land who claim to be millionaires and politicians. So they've called on Biafrans and practically IPOB members worldwide to hold these persons named above responsible should anything upwards happens to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and if he is not released on Friday, 15th of December 2023. And now, my country people, Emma Powerful further appealed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Supreme Court not to accept the push by identified persons to keep Kanu in prison. Some of those people played extraordinary roles. They played active roles in the kidnap, in the extraordinary rendition and the illegal detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and they have not forgotten. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been called upon. The Supreme Court Justice of Nigeria must not oblige these pleasures, those pressurizing them to not to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally on the 15th of December via the Apex Court orders. The Federal High Court and the Supreme Court of Nigeria cannot ignore the rule of law and consent to the wishes of selfish individuals working for their pockets and who are also against the Nigerian state. This group of men are not only acting wickedly against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but they are also sabotaging the image of the Nigerian state. Besides, they are enemies of Nigerians and the enemies of peace. The IPOB movement nationwide calls on the Supreme Court of Nigeria never to succumb to blackmail and intimidation from greedy people and fail to release Nnamdi Kanu, who have been illegally incarcerated for over 30 months, the statement added. The IPOB spokesperson added that the group is waiting to see what would be the outcome of December 15th ruling of the Supreme Court before taking a stand on the government's commitment to the rule of law. He added that should the Supreme Court fail to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on December 15, 2023, IPOB will equally hold the Supreme Court's justice. IPOB would hold them responsible too, and they are patiently waiting to see if the Supreme Court justice will be courageous enough to dispense justice. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime known to the law, so they are not begging for his release because, this man never committed any crime and has no charges against him. IPOB has endured enough provocations and persecutions, and they cannot continue to endure the oppression of Nigeria and its security agencies anymore. Guys, the indigenous people of Biafra has spoken, and they've urged the federal government, the Supreme Court, to emulate the appeal court by granting freedom to its leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So they are watching ahead of the December 15th, 2023 judgment by the Supreme Court. IPOB has insisted that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Biafra agitator, has committed no crime, both locally and internationally, to even warrant his continued detention in the first place. According to them, the Supreme Court will deliver judgment on the appeal challenging Kanu's continued incarceration by the Nigerian government. Now, Imam Powerful has urged members of the group to be ready to receive Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on December 15th. They should be ready because they've expressed their readiness that definitely Mazi Nnamdi Kanu would be released come December 15th, 2023. They've also urged the Supreme Court Justice to use their privileged offices to stop the executive recklessness and the abuse of human rights of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by releasing him unconditionally. The Supreme Court should emulate. They should refuse to bow to the executive branch of the government's intimidation. But they should discharge Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and ban the Nigerian government from further arresting and prosecuting their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You see, the Nigerian government cannot continue to violate their constitutional and international laws on extradition with the support of the Nigerian judiciary. The Supreme Court's justice know very well that extraordinary rendition is an international crime. They understand that Nigeria is a member of the United Nations and a signatory to treaties on extradition. During the appeal court judgment in Abuja, the justice relied on extradition infractions and courageously condemned the federal government of Nigeria's reckless actions of kidnapping Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and his continued detention by their unanimous decision to discharge and acquit Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on October 13, 2023. So, all expectations are on the justice of the Supreme Court, that's the Apex Court, to toe the same line and this time and measure out serious punitive actions against the federal government of Nigeria for the abuse of court orders. And here we have it, my country people. These names have been released, and guys, This is really, really shocking. I mean, these persons are said to be governors. These governors are said to be governors of the Southeast. Now they have listed out some governors that these governors are aiding the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu. They don't want him to be released. Now the reasons are yet to be disclosed. The reasons why these certain persons have refused to let Nnamdi Kanu go. To an extent, they are also working against him. But then the IPOB has spoken. Let's not forget, Ohanaeze Ndigbo promised that if care is not taken, they would also release names of those they've alleged that are working behind the scene for the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu. So my country people, I'm dropping here.